And here we are. It's happening again. It's the day of the days. Like, there's so much stuff going on. I can't even just isolate it. But the good thing is that we're here together. And I'm going to be starting something new. I'm super amped up even right now. I'm calling it Fire and Light. Like, we've heard a lot about the fire and ice. This is about fire and light. And what this is about is that I'm starting to narrow down every single thing that's taking place in this reality into these two elements from an intrinsic level. And even today, I'm going to be answering just a couple questions, some deep stuff that I know that we all want to get some tips on. And then with those answers, I'm going to analyze kind of like the fire and light aspects of things, and we're going to do something amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into this. I'm not even going to take too much time to do the blah, blah, blah. As you know, there's amazing things going on at the Secret Energy site. My name is Sevan Bomar. I'm the developer, founder of Secret Energy, and I'm also part of Open Source Spirituality, which is bringing all this knowledge to you, every single thing that we've gained in this period of time of our expansion, just laying it out, bringing the images and bringing all the stuff that allows you to get to the next level. Because we believe, personally, we rise by lifting others, and we've done that for years. So if this is your first time hearing what we present, it's a treat for you. And then on top of that, you can go into the archives, you can subscribe, and you'll find tons of stuff that we've done that just gives you just so much knowledge that really people are not hearing these days. So that's another reason why I'm coming out hard as ever now, because I feel like, the message is getting a little redundant out there. It's time to go ahead and throw in some more key things and some more important things for people to know in their progress. So I'm going to start this off by answering some questions. And now these questions are actually posted on the Secret Energy website. And I just want to tell you right now, if you haven't been to secretenergy.com, you're missing out. There's also an app. You can download it from iOS and Android. And these questions are coming from our Ask section. And every time I see a question in that, we want to jump in there. But already I'm doing 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 things in a minute. So I had to desist for a moment and let the amazing people that are already on the site help you out and answer your question. And then if somebody has one of those whack kind of crazy troll answers, it just gets voted down. And so what you get on the top is you get the cream of the question that you need to get the answer to. And then you also get some pretty intelligent, amazing, conscious people that are there also to help you with your issues, and you can meet those people, you could talk to them, and you could share. So I'm going to be answering some of those questions. I want to jump in because that's my own passion. So that first question is actually from Awakened Soul in Me. How do one use the universal laws to make money? So they were pretty direct. Sometimes people beat around the bush. There seems to be this huge separation between making money and spiritual knowledge, and there's this whole conviction going on. But then when it's time to buy those expensive organic foods and those advanced devices and those crystals and all those things, the pocket's a little bit short. One is left asking the universe for what? To help you out, to get you some information about picking up your current. So ding, that's what I appear here for. So I'm gonna answer that question. First of all, we need to really distinguish what's going on here with money. I call money the hack. It is actually this intermediary quotient that is put in place in order to allow you to transfer energy with someone through a piece of paper. And of course, that's not just any piece of paper. That's a piece of paper made out of trees, sacred trees at that, and also blended with, there's a magnetic strip, there's a signature on it, and there's some weird symbols on it, and there's all sorts of stuff going on. And basically it sums it up as a talisman. So money is basically the hack into the dimension that allows all the people that have some to actually begin to transfer their energy with others, but sometimes not necessarily building that energy the proper way. So if someone asks me personally, what are the keys to making money, I will have to say, and how does that connect with universal laws? I will have to say, do we even know what universal laws are? And the thing is that universal laws are empirical. As I said, money is a hack, but universal laws are things that apply to what's exactly going on in the reality and the mechanics of what's going on behind the scene. So a good example of universal laws are the fact of fire and light. And let me see, am I going to be getting in that deep into that right now? No, actually, I'm just going to give you one example. I'm going to give you one example of the laws of light, which are basically the periodic table. And as you know, in the periodic table, and if you don't know, now you know, on the periodic table, the elements that are closest together have some semblance with one another. So let's say in this case, carbon and silicone have this relationship, and that's why they're on the periodic table close together. But if we look back into the reality and we say, where do we find carbon and silicone? Obviously, human beings are carbon-based life forms. And then you find human beings locked in this relationship with silicone. And how we see that is, of course, if you check out some of the women, they got the silicone in the breasts and silicone. So the silicone is inside of them. It's not even next to them. And then obviously there's a big addiction to technology right now. And obviously all those chips are made out of what? You guessed it, silicone. So what the universal laws are is looking at the periodic table and seeing what the semblances are, seeing what the building blocks of how the reality is actually constructed, tearing apart the atom for all of its different elements and seeing how those elements connect, bond, connect and retract and repel one another, right? So if someone is aware of those universal laws, then they can say, all right, well, we're going to develop something out of silicone, and we know that these carbon-based life forms are going to love to be in connection with it, and the silicone-based life forms are going to love to connect with them. So this is a law, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this in just a moment, that actually doesn't think. So the silicone is not saying, I wonder if this is a good human or a bad human. Should I be inside of them or not? And so the silicone is not doing all of that. It has a specific command that is already hardwired, and it responds to that command. All right, so we're going to keep going from there. So again, that gives you a little bit of glimpse also into the realization of the difference between fire and light. I'll take you a little bit deeper. Inside of all of us is actually both of these elements. We are fiery. The body in itself is like a flame, if you know anything about the occult. And it's just because we don't understand all the stages of light and frequency and sound that sometimes that could be obscure to us. It's like, well, Sevan, I'm not sitting over here burning a hole in the couch, so how could I be related to fire? However, if you got an attitude or you're angry or you just finished jogging around the block, you'll find that you have a lot of heat. And in fact, as mammals, there's a lot about us that connects into heat. We have to stay hot at a high degrees, if you really think about it, in order to remain alive. So there's this huge connection then between us and fire. And then in addition to that, we have this lighter, more subtle element going on around us that we could just call light, which is also connected with gases. And if you could think about that, you could think about neon, right? So neon is a gas. But how much do you know about neon? When's the last time you heard about a neon? A neon light. That's the only connection that you get with it. But neon, if you check out the periodic table, is actually a noble, and it doesn't actually react. Okay? So notice all the noble elements, the ones that are made of light, are superior than and can hedge in the forms of fire, because they don't react. And this also gives you another insight also to, if you choose not to react to all the crazy stuff going on in the inauguration because somebody said something crazy to you, because somebody stole something, or just that person that you don't like that you always talk about, whatever, if you just choose not to react, then you'll find yourself making yourself more noble, being filled with more light, not losing as much energy. And these are what I'm referring to as universal laws, universal principles. Okay, so you can see clearly money doesn't even make it into that category, because money is a principle of fire. Money is actually created by the fiery beings. And if you're looking to get into something more superior, then you'll work with those universal laws, my good friend. And then that will lead you into the control of all the things that are developed by the fire. So let's keep going through this. I got another question. Brother Michael, 7-foot seeker, says, I have been experiencing a bit of deja vu lately. And I've heard a few different perspectives on the topic. And I heard Sevan mention it is in some of his videos. What are some of the perspectives or perhaps truths you have experienced or discovered? And I'm assuming they're saying based on the deja vus. And I would say for sure, my brother, is that I've experienced things that allow me to know 100% that this reality is actually not just running backwards, but is in a hyperdimensionally repeating itself. And this is what deja vu is. So if you're very perceptive of the moment and you realize what's going on and you get that deja vu feeling, what that is more or less that part in the record where the song is actually being changed. Or if you notice how the frequencies, where there's a spike in the frequency, that means something significant is going on or happening. And again, you can witness this on a record, because a record is made out of magnetics. And of course, our body has an electromagnetic field. So all of our memories and all of our experiences are stored on this disc then. And this needle, at times, who we are, when we focus on certain things, starts playing that disc. And that's what we become perceptive of. That's our reality. And so when you get into a point on that disc to where you start to have a significant event go on that spiked a scenario for in your last circle or circuit or unit of time, then you start getting this recollection that, hey, I was here before. And in fact, you were. So let's keep moving through this. I have another question here. And this is by a guest. They didn't actually want to say who they were because they probably actually were in college. The question is a college education even worth it? You know, I know parents are looking at me right now and like, okay, well, if it's some of our followers, they'd be like, hey, no. And then if it's some of those people who just got in, it's like, is he going to endorse that, hey, that college is not great? So I'll tell you like this. It all depends on what you have plans to do. If you have plans to get into that college and then to start to not only connect with people that are going to help you with your crowdfunding campaign, other people who know how to develop tools and equipment, to get up under that science teacher, that physicist teacher and say, hey, you know what? I'm trying to really look deeper into these tachyons. Have you heard anything about this? Or you may go to them, another person and say, hey, you know that the CIA just declassified all these documents called Stargate on their website, and they're saying that remote viewing's true. What do you think about this? And start getting a documentary off the ground. So what I'm saying is that at college, there's a plethora of minds that are receptive to what you need to say. It's all about whether you're going to engage them or not. So I'll say they're receptive to what you're either going to say or can do. But are you going to engage them? Are you going to sit in college like that guy that's just buried in the books or that woman that's buried in the books and, you know, going through all these curriculums and courses that are all spanned out that you're never going to use again? So if you're going to do that, I would say no. But if you got this agenda to go in there and utilize the knowledge that's truly there, I would say yeah. Even deeper than that, for those that are not in college and maybe not be able to enter into college, I would say the biggest investment is in yourself. And you can invest in self-education. You can immediately take up a trade right now of something that is booming, and then you can start literally learning just that, become a professional and certified in that, and then take yourself to the next level. So I would say that's how you get a real education. So we're closing this down here. This is not supposed to be a long session. These are going to go on at least once every other day. That means that you need to get on the site and start typing in some good questions, because if the question's good, then we'll say it here. If the question's one of those, hey, I want to know what clouds mean in my dream, don't be surprised if it don't make it on the show. So here it is. This is from Badessa. She says, is there something that can be done to get rid of emotional attachment from past sexual relationships? Even if the breakup wasn't a bad one, there's something left inside that feels like there's still a connection. Is there some type of relationship cleansing that needs to be done after splitting up from a boyfriend or a husband? Now, of course, there's a procedure that you generally want to run where you start to cleanse yourself. Like we even do that every day. We don't even let people in the house that haven't cleaned their aura with some sage and some Palo Santo. But this is a little bit deeper. It's about if I've had a connection with someone, how do I need to clear myself from that connection? The truth is it's something very deep. It's something that I actually had to deal with a little bit of time ago, actually a few days ago, and it was an amazing experience. I mean, it brought me literally to tears. It was highly emotional. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset my system really quick here. And then when we come forward, I'm going to tell you exactly about how to clear your energy and how to get yourself in the right state of mind, right state of conscious, spirit, etc. after you've dealt with one of those relationship situations. Wholeness. So this is the pressing question. Jones in the bones, what do you do about it? Meaning if you've been with somebody and then you had to let them go for whatever reason, maybe your path was going in one way, their path was going in another, and there was a split, but you're still thinking about them and you're wondering, how do you clear that energy? This is it. First of all, you have to come into realization that when we say all is self, it doesn't exclude anything. So that means that that person is actually connected to you and always will be connected to you. However, if we're just looking at the connection that goes on in the physical reality, which sometimes is virtually non-existent, meaning that how we treat each other at times is this fictitious version of not even realizing how connected we are. We let gender separate us. We let race separate us. We let opinion separate us. All these different elements that basically create separations. You got different languages that separate people. You have, whether he likes the beard or whether he doesn't. So infinite separation in the reality. But is that really the truth? No. And this is exactly why we can live in the reality at times in a total illusionary state, because the separation doesn't really exist. On another level, we're all connected. However, how we express ourselves to each other is not through the divisive languages, especially the one called English, but through a connection and a feeling that allows us to truly understand where each person is coming from and to enjoy that. So if you've had an experience with someone in this reality and that experience has been negative, or you're just simply ready to move on from that experience, that doesn't mean that you disconnect and actually really truly leave them, because you're always connected to them. But one of the most important things to remember is you have to not hard code in your mind that there's this disconnection, because then that's how you disconnect yourself from the world of all knowing, where everything is connected. You have to realize that what that person does in this space, as we talked about earlier with the Deja Vu, is all a part of the experiences that they're having in the reality and the things that they're going to need to be learning about and how to do things the right way, the wrong way, and every other way before they start to wake up and realize what's going on. And you become a part of that experience, just like they become a part of your experience. But where there is no time, where there is beyond experiences, there's a connection between you and that person that's endless, but there's also a connection between you and that person and everything else that's endless. So that's how you get your mind right about the situation. You let the person say, I'm going to put that person in that place, meaning that you let them stay in that place of when you knew them in the climax of the scenario, the best that they could be, and you leave them there because that's how they exist. And in this reality, you move on in the total realization that in that space you're connected, but in this one, you may have to part. We're going to keep going through this. We're almost done. There's another question here, equally as pressing. It is, how can I regulate my sexual energies? Now, this is a big one. And in fact, there's an entire show about this. It's kind of escaping me right now what that show is. And this was also a question asked by a guest. And what I would say for sure is that the only way to truly overcome the passion of the lower chakras is to realize the difference. And that becomes not a mental realization, but an actual experience. Start to realize the difference between a healthy chakra center and an unhealthy chakra center. And it's very simple. In the healthy chakra center, the lower chakras feed the higher chakras. In an unhealthy chakra system, the higher chakras feed the lower chakra centers. So I'm going to give you an example of it. So if I see, let's say, some attractive woman and she's got her thigh all right, and then all of a sudden I become attracted to her, then what happens is my eyes pick up that initial attraction. My senses even pick up that initial attraction. And then when that comes in, because all your senses generally are here, all your perception, your sensory, your eyes, your nose, your mouth, all that comes in here. So maybe it's the perfume, maybe it's the look, maybe it's the dress or whatever. It comes in here. So it comes into the higher chakra and then it feeds the lower chakra right away. So there's a gratification, there's a feeling that comes that says, oh man, I like that. So that's when the higher chakras are used to feed the lower chakras. And so what they say a healthy chakra center is when actually you can do all of that stimulation inside, meaning that you're so attracted to yourself. You're so attracted to your experience. You're so attractive to the moment that you're actually in. And that's coming from within. And the reason why this is a healthy chakra center, because you don't find yourself dependent upon all these different things. You don't find yourself upset because people don't do what you want them to do. You find yourself in this position of maximum power to where when you are constantly in this perpetual attraction with yourself, that means internally your lower chakras, let's say that root chakra energy of attraction, is being used to fuel the higher state of consciousness and the higher mind, the passion and the motivation. So when you start seeing that, hey, maybe you've been selling your energy a little bit short by just a quick pleasure from physicality, and then you start demanding that you get this higher level of energy, that they bring bring me the transmuted energy. I understand what you can bring me on a physical level. I've seen that before. And if you're a little bit older, you've seen all of the cooties, and you've seen all the birds and the bees already. So you know what's going to happen after that. But what happens when you transmute those energies into the higher chakras and start allowing it to fuel your vision? Well, that's the thing. It's limitless. So you can't really per se say you know what's going to happen. You just know you have the energy to make anything happen. So when your desire for that becomes greater than that momentary pleasure with someone that is often rapidly fading because they pick up from you that that's all that you want, and that you've been fed with that, then you'll move into that level. So final question here for my great friend Peter Crum, who I got to catch up with real soon. The question is, what are the smartest investments for money? Okay, so we began with money, we end with money, but on a different level. See, this shows you that you could take a consciousness and you can apply it really to anything. It's the panacea. It affects everything. So if you want to know personally, what is the best thing you invest your money in? I would say personally that you can right now print money. If you know what you're doing, meaning that you can buy machines that can print money. And I'm gonna give you some examples of that. There's first casting. So this process is when you take metal and you shape and mold it and fashion it into whatever you want, whether it's a ring, whether it's a piece to a device. All these different aspects of molding metal is called casting. So it turns out that you can buy printers such as the Form 2, and you can use a castable resin, and you can 3D design or have someone else 3D design you something, and then someone can actually go and make a casting of that into brass, into silver, gold, whatever. And then there's another way that you can actually make your way in this world. So that's one way. You also have laser cutting. So there's a lot of these machines that also, they can cut these special looking lamps that just look amazing in this geometry that you've been looking at. They can cut different materials. So there's another machine. Arc welding. Some people have that deep artisan skill. But if you grab one of those, I think it's called the Orion, the M3 Orion arc welding, small arc welder, you have the power of an arc welding machine right into the tip of your hand. So now you can put all those little pieces of wires and those things that you put together so nicely, even nicer, which attracts more people to your work. You got carbon fiber molding. I think that's the... Let me see, I have to come back to that machine in a minute. It does carbon fiber. That's the Mark 1, Mark II printers that actually print out carbon fiber. You got some jewelry procurement by other machines that actually even, this is called the Murua. That's M-U-R-U-A. This is another machine that after you do casting, you just throw the cast right into this machine, and it uses particles in order to repair the cast so it looks like it came right out of a jewelry store. So you get the point. You literally can invest into a money machine and learn some trades, or go to Upwork and get someone that actually knows the trade, and then take your creativity and take your idea. Don't let your idea be hindered by you not knowing how to operate something. You can't operate everything, but start narrowing it down and isolating exactly what you want to do. Stay focused on that, and then say, okay, this is the machine that connects with what I'm doing, and then do something like that. Become an entrepreneur. This is about what I call going from zero to entrepreneur real fast. And then if that's not your thing, you just don't want to get in that kind of fabrication, again, invest in yourself. Invest in your self-education. So that is it today. There was one final question. Somebody asked, hey, what's up with Phi Aqua? And I'll tell you for sure, Phi Aqua is coming. I'm very far along in the project. Things are going excellent. You'll definitely hear some more stuff from us. We have some amazing cats. I got a guy that's like Mobius coming in here next week that's going to really, really show us hand-drawn skill of how you create not just stuff like this, but also comic books and just immense talent. So look out for that. That's my good friend Lawrence Fletcher. You can also check him out on Facebook and then friend him. So you'll see I'm also friends with him. So Phi Aqua is coming. Also, what we're going to add to this show that we didn't get in today is I'm going to have some recommended books, and we're going to have some recommended techniques. You could check all that stuff out. Obviously, hit the subscribe button if you've never heard from us before. Check us out on secretenergy.com. We're going to get to it this year. We rolling. We'll talk to you soon. Wholeness.